I never got
He's
elected.
always run negative campaigns.
All right. So we is it really long? Yeah. Okay, so we are doing a debate here on some questions that were given to us by Native Americans at a drop-in center. Dan and I were there yesterday. So the first question is,
The first question is, what are your goals for the city?
well, I guess the whole essence behind my campaign is that I don't think City Hall should be directing the future of our city. I'm a believer in minimal government, limited government. I want to I want to get city council to do less. So my goal for the city is whatever the citizens of London choose for themselves. I believe in freedom of choice. I believe that everybody has the right to live their own life in manners that they choose, whatever manner they choose, so long as they don't hurt anybody, aggress against them or their property, and uh, and so I'd like to see a city that's with low taxes, much lower taxes. I'd like to see a city that's prosperous, that has a thriving business community, that has a lot of great jobs being created, and uh, and I'd like to see a city where freedom was a universal right, defended vigorously by all. On to Dan.
My goals for the city are to get people back to work. The unemployment numbers are still too high. Of course, to change the leadership, hopefully the voters will vote for me. And the next one would be to boost the profile of the London Economic Development Corporation, the one department of City Hall that could directly do something about jobs. Right now, it's getting about $2 million. The fellow that runs it is a fellow named Peter White, and personally, I think he should be getting $20 million. Should be instead of eighth from the bottom of all the budget priorities, it should be eighth from the top in the time of recession. It would get Londoners back to work, and then the city will be much better off than it is right now.
And now we've got Ivan. I'd just like to point out how dapper Ivan is looking. I think the touch of color in his vest is an excellent touch.
My goals for the city is this: to lower property taxes, not to freeze them. We have Mr. Fontana going around saying he's going to freeze taxes. Remember, folks, that in the 1993 federal election, Mr. Fontana was saying that if they elected his leader, Jean Chrétien, he would get rid of the GST. And the reason that I knew that is because I ran as an independent candidate in London West in the 1993 federal election. Do we still have the GST? Now, I believe to be a mayor, you have to be able to communicate by the spoken word and the written word. And I really believe that I qualify in both of those. And I will give you two examples. While I was a member of the Royal Canadian Air Force for 20 years, I started to collect autographs. When I retired, I continued to collect autographs, and one day I decided to open Ivan's Autograph Collecting Company. And here is one of my autographs, a Christmas card from King Hussein of Jordan, where he and his wife, Queen Noor, autographed it. So you can see I have to be a good communicator by the written word for him to do this. Now, for the spoken word, I was 14 years a member of Toastmasters. In that 14 years, I had won 5 trophies in speaking contests and 7 plaques in speaking contests. You see, I can communicate in both the spoken and written word, and that's what a mayor has to do. And I want to open up this city, make make the people the boss, not the politicians, and that's what I want to see. So, if you want to vote for me, I have a story for you. It's about the bird in the hand. And a young lad came up to the wisest man and said, "Wise man, I have a bird in my hand. Is the bird dead or alive?" Now, the wise man, being very wise, he said to himself, if I say the bird is dead, he will squash the bird and kill it. And if he says the bird is dead, he will open his hands and the bird will fly. Being the wise man that he was, he said to that young lad, "Young lad, today the bird is in your hand." And I say to all you voters, when you get into that polling booth on October the 25th, remember, the bird is in your hand, and mark the X for Ivan. Thank you, and have yourselves a great day.
Okay, so I guess we'll move on to the third questions then. Third question. Second question? What, we were that was all in the first question. Oh, we'll go to the second.
Okay, second question. Will there be a tax decrease if you're elected?
I'd like to point out that the question is actually, will there be a tax decrease? Full stop. That was a little impromptu improvisation by the Dan Leonard campaign, and I think we owe it to the Native Americans at the
At LOSA.
at LOSA Drop-In Clinic, which is located right behind where GT's used to be, the New Yorker now. And I think they do good work there. So if anybody watching this wants to help out, I recommend you do so. So the question is actually, will there be a tax decrease? And I want to say no. The most truthful answer is I don't know. I cannot predict the future. But I want to say no, because almost invariably, at every level of government, municipal, provincial, and federal, taxes and spending have increased every year, everywhere. This is a universal. I can't think of many examples where it hasn't happened. You know, you can go and look at the records every year, and you know they'll play games with the numbers. They'll say, "Oh, if you adjust it for inflation," and then they lie about the inflation figures. But if you look at total aggregate spending, every time, everywhere it goes up. And sometimes they borrow money so they don't have to increase taxes right away. Sometimes they just print the money. But when you spend money, you have to pay for it. So I think taxes will continue to increase until we as a citizenry get up in arms about the taxation issue, until we argue vociferously without pause, without fail, that taxes